Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Sport Federation TV, the show that's brought to you proudly by Western Cape Provincial Sports Confederation to showcase all of the sports in all of the Western Cape. I'm Ch263 and once again I'll be your host. Tonight we've got a jam-packed show with 5 amazing sports that we'll be showcasing. We'll be talking sport for the physically disabled, Cape Winelands kickboxing, Cape Winelands karate, cycling, as well as Witzenberg Sports Council will be joining us a little bit later. First with me in studio from Western Cape Sport for the Physically Disabled, we have Mike Job and Marius Kutsia. Welcome gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, Mike, it's not your first time on the show. You have a long history with Judo.
Yeah.
Tell us about that history and how you got involved.
I started Judo when I was 24 and started in Rhodesia, not Zimbabwe. And when I came back to South Africa, which is where I'm originally from, then I just naturally carried on with it.
Okay. Well, here today, you're here to focus on the participation of people with disability with Judo.
That's correct.
How did you manage to get into, well, that realm of sport activities?
Well, Judo is one of the most accessible sports for people, surprisingly enough, because it's very active, it's quite strenuous, and you wouldn't think so, but the people who are challenged in that way, they're remarkably adaptable, and there's nothing wrong with their bodies, they just don't see so well.
And what is expected of an athlete in Judo? It falls under the martial arts umbrella, right?
That's right, yes.
What would be expected of an athlete in this particular code versus, say, karate?
I don't know what would happen in karate, but in Judo, exactly the same rules apply to the visually impaired as apply to the able-bodied people. There's a little bit of difference in the referees, so in the way that the referee conveys the score to the person who can't see the scoreboard.
So how would you describe the sport of Judo so that to make it, well, visually imaginable for those at home who are listening in?
Well, very occasionally people in clubs will put blindfolds on sighted players, even if they've got no visually impaired people. You put a blindfold on somebody to make them reliant on their senses, their touch and their feeling and their reading of the other person's movements.
Okay. Now, Marius, you're also involved with Western Cape sports for people with disabilities. What is your involvement?
I'm a goalball player.
And goalball, how would you describe that sport?
That is, as far as I know, the only sporting code which is designed in the world for disabled people. In my case, is a goalball. It is a sporting code for visually impaired people, designed in 1946 by Hans Lorenzen and Sepp Randall for soldiers who lost their sight during the Second World War.
Okay. Now, for the viewers at home who have never seen or watched a goalball tournament, how would you describe the sport? What is the athlete expected to do?
It's an indoor sporting code, and the court is 18 by 9 meters. We have 3 players on each side, and we have a center player and 2 players on the left and right hand side. And you have also, like soccer, you have a goal post, but in soccer, in goalball, the goal post is from one sideline to another sideline, and you play in the first 3 meters area of a goal post, and you have a ball with 2 pieces of metal in which make a sound. So when you throw the ball, it's not like a bowling action in cricket, but this type of action, and you must roll the ball, and the opponent is supposed to defend the ball with his body, but it's not always so easy to defend the ball, because on international level the players throw the ball at least 60 kilometers per hour, so you must listen carefully which direction come the balls from and to which spot. If you hear the ball on your left and you move to the left, you might miss a ball because the ball might cross from left to right. So you must give yourself enough time to listen. Is the ball going straight or cross? If you must go to the left, how much to the left? Only go down, or must you
Wow,
dive?
it sounds very technical, and it sounds like a highly skilled game, especially if you don't have sight to rely on.
Yes.
Hey,
Yes.
how long have you been involved with this sport?
I started in the year 2000 with Goalball.
Okay, and were there any other sports that you were involved with that fall under Western Cape Sports for the Disabled?
Other sport because I do is athletics, blind cricket, and drawing.
Okay, well, Mike, the national tournament is coming up. How are these athletes now affected by this tournament being right around the corner?
Well, it obviously means that there's far less expense to getting them to the venue. They will be competing against people from, and we take it in turns to host it, so there'll be people coming now to us from Port Elizabeth, from Durban, and a few from Pretoria. Those are the only places, to my knowledge, where there's blind judo offered at the moment.
Okay, and in terms of preparation for the national tournament, what are some of the hurdles or challenges that you might have?
Well, they train, I go to the school and coach and the Athlone School for the Blind, and they come to me once a week. The school very kindly brings them to me, and then they train with perfectly sighted people, and they love it, we love it, and it puts some more pressure on them, and they just love it.
Yeah. Now, Marius, you also are quite serious about your sport, and I'm sure the preparations are quite intense. For athletes involved in goalball, what are some of the opportunities internationally that they will have access to if they excel in the sport?
On international level, we have World Championships every 4 years. We have last year the World Championships. We have World Games this year, I think it's in June, July, and also next year at the Paralympic Games, also the goalball there. The goalball starts as one of the Paralympic Games in 1976, and you have also your regional championships like African Championship, European Championships, etc.
Marius, Tokyo 2020 is also just around the corner. Are there prospects for those involved with goalball as a sport to be involved in that international stadium?
Yes, 2020 will be one of the goalball is one of the sporting codes, and there will be 12 male and 10 female teams, and from every region there will be teams. We will have African National Championships in October or November this year, and then the team who will win the tournament will go straight to Tokyo.
Excellent. I suppose that is also something that you're hoping to
Yes,
achieve. Hey,
yes.
have you represented the country yet internationally?
They select me for 2015, but one of our problems is sponsorships.
What kind of support does the athletes who are involved with goalball need from the community?
We can start with financial help, but also people who can help us with officials, and if we can also have some airtime on radio or television, so that the awareness of the sporting codes, also in the newspapers, people can come to the venues and look the games. And one of the biggest problems I knew in the Western Cape is also traveling. Most of the players in the Western Cape make use of public transport.
Okay, okay, yes, yeah, transport is definitely a huge hurdle for many sporting codes. Mike, with you and Judo, what is the selection process for the athletes that wish to go also qualify for Tokyo 2020?
Probably like goalball, they have to qualify through other tournaments, lesser events leading up to that. So you need to win those. And that, of course, again, like Goalball, it costs money to go to those events. So if you can't get to the eliminations, you know, you can't get to the final. And exactly as Marius says, the public transport to get to normal training is hard enough to be. Once they've left work or left school to go home, there's very difficult to get them back to training venues.
Yeah, and yet you managed to keep the, well, let's say, pardon the pun, the ball rolling on all of these projects. Hey.
No, but Judo is has a very good advantage in that it's taught at schools where there are hostels. So in Athlone School for the Blind, there's 430 something kids there, but they're not all blind or visually impaired. Some of them are physically impaired, but nevertheless we've got about 60 or 70 kids doing judo, but only because it's on the school premises, and then the school will take them to a club where they can mix with sighted people.
All right.
We're just fortunate in that they happen to be concentrated in one place.
So for the parents at home who are watching, how can they get in touch with you if they'd like to support your programs, or even enroll their children to participate, or even the adults that might want to participate?
Well, we have a website, Cape Town Judo Association, but there's a Judo Association in any of the large areas like Winelands, what used to be Boerland, Winelands Judo Association. They're each large collection of the SASCOC divided up the places, put them together into groups. Any of those groups will help.
All right, and Judo has a presence on Facebook as well, hey?
Yes, well, our club does, but we also have a website. If you just look up Judo in Western Cape,
yes,
you'll find all the information that you need, contact numbers, addresses, and so forth.
Excellent. How do people get involved with Goalball, Marius, if they'd like to support or participate in the sport?
They can find us on Facebook, Cape Winelands SAPD, or they can send also a email to cwsapd@gmail.com. And what we also did they did also in Europe, and we started last year with it. But the sighted people can also play Goalball here, because every player is supposed to be blindfolded, so the sighted person don't have any advantages.
Wow, lovely. Mike, with the Nationals just around the corner, can you give us the venue and the dates, so if people would like to come out and support?
Yeah, so the Kutzenberg General Sports Complex in Stellenbosch. We're on the 17th, I don't know when Goalball is, but we're on the 17th, which is a Sunday. Starts from 11 o'clock onwards, and potentially
17th of February?
Yeah, no, of March.
March,
yes.
All right. And with Goalball, Marius?
We start on Monday the 18th till Wednesday the 20th, and it is near to the Kutzenberg athlete track. It's about, I would guess, 100-200 meters from the track, in the sports science building of the University of Stellenbosch.
All right, excellent. Gentlemen, all the best with your preparations. May you excel. May the people and the team that you're with also excel. And onwards to 2020, hey, in Tokyo.
Thank you very much.
All right. After the break, we'll be back with another amazing sport from the Western Cape. Please stay tuned for that.